The fascinating question of how language shapes the way we think. As Boroditsky says, people have been fascinated by this question for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, subject of many debates. How much does language influence our views of the world? The idea is, how does language shape our view of the world? In the terms of the linguists, linguistics gets very complicated very fast because you're talking about language. You're inventing a new language to talk about the language that we speak. So we talked about how signifiers are arbitrary. They're not connected to anything necessarily in the world. So whether I call that a table or a mesa, there's nothing about that that is more table-like in its sound than mesa-like. It just depends on what language I speak. But if the signifiers are arbitrary, that means that in some ways the signifieds are also arbitrary. That is to say, the way we cut the world up into chunks. And if we want to say one, two, or many, and we don't have a word for number beyond plural, it's a different way of thinking about the world. And so the principle of linguistic relativity is that language is guiding our thoughts and our actions here. It is not just a label for the world, it structures our experience of it, as our textbook points out. So if you walk around thinking about the world in terms of the cardinal directions, you are actually more able to orient yourself in the world. And so our signifiers, those sounds and words that we use, can change our ideas of what is being signified. Like I said, this is complicated linguistic talk, but you have to, in some ways, specify this in order to get at how language shapes our world. Now, I want to be careful with this. It's not, again, for one thing, most people in most parts of the world, other than ours, speak more than one language. So if you have a language that doesn't have, say, counting terms, for example, most of those people will also learn a language that does have counting terms. They will be going to school and learning a different language or importing counting terms from another language. So it's not that this locks us into one cognitive view of the world and we can't get out of it. We switch between, we emphasize different things within our own language. One of the interesting examples from the textbook of this has to do with the idea of evidentiality. Evidentiality, another long word. Yes, basically, how do you, if you're going to tell me something, how do you know that? How do you know what you're saying? And so there are some languages in which you have to specify your evidence within the grammar itself. That is, you can't make a statement with somehow specifying how you know what you know. Don't worry, you can still lie. It's not that you can't lie, but they have these little things, these little add-ons, as you can see this example from the text. So is Harry chopping wood? Well, if you say it, it's the same word, but if you say it one way, it means I've seen that. If you say it another way, it means, well, I heard that, or I just know this because of a rumor that I heard. So there's different ways of specifying, and you can't make any statement without specifying how you know. Don't worry, you can still lie, but you have to lie with confidence because you have to be lying with your grammar too. So, evidentiality, languages that require specifying how you know what you know in the grammar itself. How about English? We have no evidentiality requirements in English. We're free to say whatever the hell I want, and whether you believe me, who knows? But I can make all sorts of statements without telling you how I know them. And whereas in other language, that's impossible. So they speculate that maybe that's why we have so many people purveying weird accounts of things, because you're not required to specify how you know things. You can try and tell it, but it's not built into our grammar. So it's an interesting example of how language shapes our ideas about the world, and in this case, shapes how we say what we know about the world. So that's something to watch out for. If somebody tries to tell you something, gotta look for, how do you know that? Look for some evidentiality, crucial.